한국말 하세요?
한국말 잘 못해요.
잘하시는데요?
아니에요.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Simona Unmi. I was born in Korea and I was sent to the Netherlands when I was almost 3 in the process called adoption.
How did Klein Geluk come to be?
I used to work for a Korean NGO for 3 years, and then in my last year, 3 adoptees died, and actually all of them had asked our NGO for help, and I felt very guilty, I think, the whole year after that. I felt like we need to do more. Yes, we need to challenge Korean society and Korean government to do things, but I also thought we as NGOs who get our salary from working in this field, we should also actively help in finding solutions to the problems. So I quitted that NGO and then I started the project Klein Geluk, which is Dutch for like small happiness.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I can change the world by myself, but I can just do a tiny little bit. And if everybody does a little bit for each other, I think the world is just such a better place.
How do I pronounce the Klein Geluk?
It's in Dutch, it's Klein Geluk.
Klein Geluk.
Yeah, literally means small happiness.
Small happiness. Yeah. What kind of help do you need from people, Korean people, or world people?
I think for the past 2 decades, Korean adoptees have tried to change the Korean law to give us access to our records, for example. I think one of the things in the law is Korea signed and ratified the UNCRC, the United Nations Children's Rights Convention, and it actually protects the heritage, the connection to family, which is all severed through adoption. So what we are saying is it is our right to know who my father and my mother is. No privacy law in Korea should be above international law to know the right to origin, to medical history. And then I think the other part is the first year I returned to Korea, one of the Korean adoptees got deported to the USA. He committed a crime here in Korea. He did his sentence and then he was sent to the USA. And that made me question, so do I have a right to be in Korea? Because I was actually born here as a child. I was born with the right to be in Korea, but Korean society and I went to the Netherlands, Dutch society, they decided for me as a child to have me sent out. And with that, I lost my right apparently to be in Korea, but I think we should have the right as returning Korean adoptees to be in Korea, regardless of our background, whether we are poor or rich, whether we are good people or bad people. I think we should not be treated as foreigners. I think Korea should embrace us actually as Koreans. And I actually think with us returning to Korea, Korea has its second chance to make the past right, make it better. So I think there's so many things that Korea can do. It can be law, it can be make us live as Koreans in Korea regardless of our background. The practical part is we are on an F4 visa, but that doesn't allow us to do labor work. So we have several Korean adoptees who did not have good background. So they can only do labor work, but they're not allowed to do that because of the visa. So there are so many legal issues that needs to be solved. We have adoptees that come to Korea to die here on Korean soil, but there is no structure for Korean adoptees to be buried or cremated, or there's no place. So this year we cremated a Dutch Korean adoptee. and the Dutch family didn't claim the ashes, I don't think the Korean family was informed of the death, and that would mean the adoptee would get a general burial and the ashes are just being discarded. So I kind of feel like there should be a memorial place for all the adoptees that lost their lives, both in Korea and outside of Korea, because of the adoption system. There can be, well, we've said this for several years. For 2 decades, we have said this to Parliament in conferences. There could be an agency that helps Korean adoptees get jobs here. There could be an agency that helps with housing, like we're doing now. I think what I've seen is that there is no safety network for returning Korean adoptees. We do not have necessarily family here. We do not necessarily have friends here or any network because we didn't grow up here. So there could be so many things that the Korean government could set up. Like if you look at returning, or not returning, but if you look at Korean refugees, the North Korean refugees that come here, the Korean government has a whole support system for them. Even for some other Korean, they have programs for support in place. And if you look for Korean adoptees, the systems are so limited, the assistance programs. And even like programs like I run, we are not supported by the Korean government because they say only one organization can assist adoptees. But we just see, because people are literally dying here, we see that there's a greater need for more and better assistance from the Korean government, more funding. One of the things is if people are out of money, in financial need, they need a house because they are being kicked out of their goshi-wons or one room. So I've set up one rooms, emergency housing. We're sending out care packages weekly to people because they literally don't have money. We have some adoptees sometimes who tell me they didn't eat for 4 days. We cannot be connected to the food bank because they say we are foreigners. So I funded this program. I started this 100% funded by myself, and now friends and family and some other people are assisting. But this program would so easily be done by the government. If I can do this by myself and my network in 3 years, we've been able to set up like 20 housing, set up 4,000 care packages. We're trying to do some vocational training so people can be independent, can live independently in Korean society. But I think the Korean government could do so much more. Yeah.
Could you explain this share house?
Yeah, so one of the things is that we offer temporarily space for people to be, if needed, because we see it's like a short period in general, at least, that they need to be able to think and need a place to go to. So we would actually need several places, because once this location is revealed to several adoptees, actually we cannot use it as emergency shelter. So it would be a rotating system. But the idea is that people can temporarily stay here. We will provide food and housing and see what our network can do to assist people. Because I think this problem is it's actually really important, not only for Korean adoptees, but for worldwide. Korean returning adoptees are the oldest community in the world. So whatever happens to our community, all communities worldwide will face. So I feel it's our responsibility as oldest community to find solutions, to try to work with governments, to try to convince Korean society that we're Koreans too, regardless of our passport or our nationality. And I hope that Koreans would embrace us more and be more open to listen to the difficulties many Korean adoptees have faced. And I think if we do well, we can show other countries an example of how to deal with returning Korean adoptees. one of the Colombian countries, they automatically grant returning adoptees from Colombia citizenship. In Korea, it takes a year almost, the administration period. Sometimes adoptees are being denied of Korean citizenship, but I think this should just be a matter of a stamp. You can prove you're a Korean adoptee. You should just be able to get at the Chumin Center or the Kuchung, you get a stamp and you'll be able to apply for your passport. Make it easier for us to be in Korea. We see people now who are struggling because they have an F4, they actually not allowed to do construction work, technical work, any kind of work that would keep them alive. So the F4 is actually killing them. The process of getting dual citizenship will take a year. They'll be dead by then. So we really need help now. And also with birth family search, we need it now. Like my Korean mom already passed away, so I will never be able to meet her. But for other adoptees, they may still be alive, but it needs to happen now, before our parents pass away. Korea is using this privacy law to say, hey, you cannot do this because of privacy law. But nowhere in the world, in the universe, should it be forbidden to be connected to your family. That is a crime. That itself is a crime, to prohibit that part. So I really hope that Korean society and Korean government can make this passed, which I think is not something to be proud of. Sending out children to other countries, not checking up on those children's well-being, not making any programs for them to return. And this has been going on for decades, like returning adoptees. I think we've been coming back for like 30 years or something, 30 or 40 years. People have coming back. So the Korean government could have set up so many programs and could have done so many things, and still it goes so slow.
What was your life as an adoptee in the Netherlands?
My life was just my life. I didn't know any other life, right? Because I was adopted, I was very self-aware that I looked different. Like my very first day at school, elementary school, all the children were touching me because I looked different. I was the only colored kid in school. Growing up, people would tell my my Dutch brothers that they would look like my parents, and even my cousins would look alike. And I always wondered, do I look like someone? I always felt a very deep sense of pain, I think. Because I also always wondered, because I was told that I was saved from poverty and that my family couldn't take care of me because my family was poor. And then I always thought, like, so is my family now dying in Korea? Are they dying? Are they dead? Are they still alive? Like, I had some survivor's guilt as a child. Like, why do I get to live and they get to die in Korea? Like, how is that a good thing? How is that fair? So growing up, I never understood why adoption would be a good thing. And as an adult, I think adoption is a permanent decision for a family in a temporary crisis or a temporarily difficult situation or a country.
Now, what difficulty did you face? Do you face some trouble? Do you have some trouble now?
I think
in your life?
Personally, I'm doing very well in life. I think I don't need a lot in life. I am grateful that I can see, that I can walk, that there's fresh air. But I do feel in the work that I'm doing, we're facing many adoptees who go through very difficult times, not only in Korea but also outside of Korea. Of course, there's many Korean adoptees who do fine, but I think it's also important to say that I think adoption as a system is not right, and that's why I'm always saying I think the system is wrong. Like, if you say a crime is wrong or rape is wrong, you don't say to the victim, oh, but you do well in life. you don't say that, but to adoptees, people always ask, oh, how you're doing, but don't you do well in life? But I think the basic is the adoption system itself, it is not right. Where we sever children from their families, where we take them out of the country, where we have seen it's a demand-driven market. Because the Western world wanted babies went there, right? And because the Western families were afraid that maybe the moms wanted their baby back, that's why we are made like paper orphans. But if adoption is such a good system, then why don't we adopt elderly people or poor people to other countries? That is because there's no need for like poor people or elderly people. There's only a demand for babies because we think babies can still be formed and can be integrated in our life.
Did you meet your biological mother?
My Korean mother already passed away before I came back to Korea. So it's not possible for me to meet her. But I do think for birth family search, that's why it's so important that this is happening now. Like there's so many others that can be reunited with their families. And I think this is one of the things that Korea need to respond to right now, because our parents are literally dying. I recently tried to assist another adoptee in doing a birth family search, and then I was told by the police that her mom had already passed away as well. So I feel like we cannot wait. This is not something that can happen tomorrow. The Korean government and the police just needs to help us, like today, now, and they need to understand that privacy law is not worth more than the right to know who your family is, than the right to know who your father and mother is. That is a basic human right. No privacy should be able to prevent it. And it's not, nowhere in the law does it say you cannot find your father and mother. So it's just an excuse that's been used by the agencies as a marketing tool, and that maybe the police or the government has taken over. But Korea also signed the UNCRC, where it says it is a right to know your heritage. So which right is more important? The right for parents to have privacy, or the right for the child to know their parents? And I would say, as a parent, you, whatever the reasons were, you had children, and you have the responsibility to accept that fact. It's a fact. And those children should have the right, no matter what, to know who their parents are. No law should come in between that part. So I don't think the Korean government is handling that very well, or the police agencies or the community centers.
What are your plans for the future in Korea?
I never imagined to stay in Korea this long or be in Korea this long, but while I was here, I realized there's so many things to do and so many needs. And then I also realized that us as oldest adoptee community worldwide, other communities will face this. And we've seen suicide. We've seen like horrible aftermath of adoption. So I really feel there's like meaning in trying to change it here in Korea, and trying to make positive changes, trying to make positive effect in society, like as a whole. And I think this is the one good thing I think that came from us being sent to other countries. We have experience for other countries. So why don't Korea open their arms and say, hey, what are good practices in your country that we can explore here? What are good projects in your country that will be good for Korea? Because I think most Korean adoptees feel they're partially Korean, or me personally, I feel very proud of being Korean. It's part of who I am. So I wish for Korea to do very well I think I love this country more than most Koreans, because Koreans grew up here. They don't know what they have. In general, whatever you have, you don't realize you have it. But I grew up outside of Korea, always thinking and longing of Korea. So now being here is still very special to me. And I think the majority of Korean adoptees will never come to Korea, which I think is very sad, because this is our home. This is our country. So I hope that we can make good examples worldwide so other countries will do better. And that out of this dark past, that we can heal from it together as a society, as a nation, and that we can find positive solutions and positive change, and that we can rise up from that past. Because until today, Korea is still sending like around 150 children every year out of the country. Every year. I feel that's really shameful. How can we be such a wealthy country and you see on like UNICEF and Doctors Without Borders, we go to Africa and help children, and here children and families are literally dying for pain or poverty or difficulty. So as a society with such a huge suicide rate, we need to change. We need to heal. We need to make this country a nicer place to live in. And that's why I'm still here, and that's what I hope I can help a little bit. And I hope we can share that and pay it forward together, where we make this nation a nation to be proud of. Yeah. And then Korea has like this low birth rate and not enough. Then let these Korean adoptees come back. Like what once was a reason to send us out because some of us were not pure blood Koreans, or like whatever the reasons were. Now we have Korean blood, so let us come back. Like if there's such a low birth rate, like make systems so Korean adoptees can be part of Korean society. Make a Korean, like one of the cities should make like a Korean village where Korean adoptees can come back, like mini houses. And there's so many projects that we can do. Like in my hometown in the Netherlands, Zwolle, we have this earth ship, which is made of recycled materials, and it's like a tea house, it's like a community center. We could make some of those. We could look into projects where elderly and adoptees do something together. Like out of all dark past and difficulty things, you can always do the right thing and make a good solution. So that's my hope and dream for Korea.
Yeah. Last question. Do you have any words to Korean people, not governments?
To Korean people?
Yeah.
Dear Korean people, I dearly love you and I dearly love your country, and I hope you will welcome returning Korean adoptees with open arms. One day I was at a conference and I talked about adoption, and then people from Holt told me to go back to my country and we don't want you here in Korea. And I hope that you will give Korean adoptees a warm welcome and help them in any way you can. In the Netherlands, the adoption started with an announcer saying, if you only save one child, it is helpful. So I would like to say the same to Korean society. If you would only help one returning Korean adoptee, and we all do it, the problem is solved. So thank you for that.